Another question that really helps when it comes to pivoting and to making a lot of decisions in life is, what would you do if you weren't afraid? So I'll tell you a story about the night that I decided to move to New York City. Um, Everything that had gone wrong that day went wrong. I had showed up in New York with a girlfriend. She'd met me from another part of New York, and we were in the city for that day to look for an apartment. And I had my job offer in hand, and I felt so excited to become this New York City girl. But I was so new to big city living, especially the big city. And so anything that could have gone wrong that day went wrong. Like, we got on the train in the wrong direction, so we ended up in the Bronx instead of Brooklyn. I had a red-eye flight, and the guy next to me faked a medical emergency after drinking 4 vodka bottles within like minutes. I just got too drunk and had a whole disaster of a situation. We almost got in an unmarked taxi, which ended up being like a minivan up on a roof somewhere we had to run away from. I'm like combining all these crazy stories, but I remember the day just being wild. Like, we went with a broker who toured apartments with us, and I started crying in their office because I was so overwhelmed and probably so sleep deprived from the passenger sitting next to me on the plane. It was just one like comedy of error after the other. And I remember lying awake that night and looking up at the ceiling, and everyone else was asleep, and I was wide awake thinking, what am I doing? Can I actually make it in a city like this? Like, am I crazy to try? And then a question popped in that I've always used ever since, which is, what would you do if you weren't afraid? And instantly I knew. I knew I would take a chance. I knew I would move to the city that I dreamt about as a little girl. I knew that I would learn the subway systems and the directions and the streets of Manhattan and Brooklyn and the Bronx. I knew I would find a way financially to pay for it. I knew it was worth it. And so that question has clarified so many pivots for me through the years of, what would you do if you weren't afraid? If you couldn't fail either way, what would you be doing right now? If you had $500 million, what would you be doing right now? If like success and comfort and security weren't the things, what would you do? And that can take away just a lot of the riffraff in your own brain around like, but like also this is an issue, and like da da da. It's like, let's get to the crux of it. You only have one life to live. What are you going to do with your one wild and precious life? As Mary Oliver says, what would you do if you weren't afraid? Allow that to bring some clarity to your pivot and to your next adventure.